Welcome back everyone. In this video, we will be taking a look at chapter 322 of My Hero Academia, in which Bakugo confessed his feelings and apologized to Deku. Like seriously, this is a big character development for Bakugo because Bakugo is a character which literally complains about everything, and here he is apologizing to Deku for looking down on him for being a quirkless guy. He also explained the reason why he kept bullying Deku when both of them were kids, and even after joining UA Academy he kept his distance from Deku. Bakugo explained Deku that even though Deku was quirkless and always was behind him, you always felt that somewhere there Deku was miles ahead of him, and that's why he hated him very much. He did not like that feeling at all. Bakugo also explained that the reason he always kept bullying Deku was because he wanted to oppose him and wanted to show his superiority over him, but he always lost at the end. And even after entering UA, absolutely nothing went through his way. Throughout day and night, Bakugo just think about the weakness and the strength of One for All. As Bakugo kept explaining himself, the manga panel changed from both of their kid form to their current hero costume. And in order to convince Deku to come back to UA Academy, Bakugo also explained the reason why All Might and all the other previous One for All user never win against All for One. But before we get started with the chapter, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as this is the best way to support this channel and to grow this community I am trying to build. So yeah, let's get started with the chapter. Okay, so the title of the chapter is The Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite. So basically the hero name of Bakugo. So the chapter starts right from where the last chapter ended, where both of them are in the air and Ida is holding Deku's hand. And even though Deku wants to let go the hand of Ida, he cannot master the courage or the strength to do so because he's totally exhausted at this point. Because don't forget, before Deku started fighting against director and class 1A students, he fought against multiple villains before that. So he is really exhausted at this point. So back in the air, to prevent Deku from getting rid of Ida, Ochako releases her quirk of anti-gravity, and we can see that both of them are actually shooting down like a meteor. As it seemed like that Ida did not have any plan for a safe landing, we see Kirishima running to try to catch both Deku and Ida. Just as both of them made contact with the ground, Kirishima was successful in catching them and was able to catch both Ida and Deku at the same time without even falling. As he says, "Midoriya, I won't fall over. You know, I remember a old story that there was a news of a kid around my age rushed to save his own friend from a villain, and that kid was quirkless, and I think that was you, wasn't it?" And in this panel in which they are showing Kid Kirishima, he looks very depressed, just like Deku in his current form. As Kirishima continues and says, "Being a hero has nothing to do with being special or strong. I think that's your attitude from back then. Is this the key for all that has happened to now?" And this is pretty true. If you see, like, throughout Deku's journey, One for All was a major part of his journey, but what was really special about him and the reason All Might chose him as a contender of One for All user was because of his heart, because of his pure feeling that even though he does not have any quirk at the time, he is still going to save his friend, in this case which is Kanchan. And this is the biggest characteristic trait of Deku, that even though he is in danger, even he is not in the situation where he can help others, he will try to do so. Like, still he is trying to do so. Like, even though he is not perfect in One for All, he still is trying to protect his friends from UA by not going to UA. He is still trying to protect the citizens even though they recognize him as a villain who is working for All for One. Like, this is what Deku is all about, and Kirishima is actually hitting on the point right now. Continuing next, we see Mina coming to Midoriya and saying, "Enough with all this stuff of being alone. Come with us. Come to UA. Let's go back to have a class together." And everyone says, like, "Midoriya, let's come together." And Midoriya replies, "I would love to come back with all of you, but it's too dangerous. There are a lot of people at UA. I don't want to be a case who makes all of them in trouble." And then we can see our boy Kanchan coming into the play, as Bakugo starts his conversation saying that, "Do you remember what I told you after Shigaraki stabbed me?" And Deku replies, "I don't remember." He said that, "Don't ever think about winning alone again." After yelling that, my body moved on its own and I was impaled. Yet I knew that I had to tell you those words. Then the manga panel shifts towards Deku's and Bakugo's kid form, where Deku still continues and says that, "I always looked down to you. Just because you were quirkless, you always seemed to be far below me. But when I felt that you were always miles ahead of me. I hated that. I never wanted to feel like that, and I did not want to recognize that. As both of them grew closer, Bakugo started making himself distant from him. He wanted to oppose him and wanted to show his superiority over him. Again, tried to bully him so that he can feel depressed, so that Deku can feel depressed that he does not have any quirk, whereas Bakugo has. But Bakugo always lost because Deku never gave up. And after entering UA, even though Deku at that point was like useless, he was quirkless, had one quirk by like a miracle, and then Bakugo absolutely had nothing. Nothing went through his way. He kept on losing against Deku, and like even though he spent all day and night thinking about his quirk and his weakness, he achieved nothing. As Bakugo says, it probably doesn't mean nothing to you about me telling this all of that. But that's what really I think Izuku. I am sorry for doing everything I have done up till now. And this is like really shocking and character development moment which I told you in the start of the video, that this showcase like how much growth Bakugo has done throughout his age. Like he first became a bully who bullied Deku, then he like started making distance between them, and you can see like like the whole class also know what the situation is going on here. Like they are not even intervening in this conversation, as they're like, okay, let's sit down for a second and like let's just keep Bakugo saying what he wants to say. As Bakugo continues saying to convince Deku that the path you took as a successor of One for All is exactly what All Might did. Your choice is not misguided, but as of now you can barely stand on your own. Your ideas alone can only take you so far. If you ever encounter a road bump, you can always count on us for help. To surpass All Might and your hero idea, we all would have to protect UA and the civilians in together. It was always this way. And we can see Deku wants to say something. Everyone is already way ahead of me. And he says, guys, you can't keep up. Guys, you can't keep up. I'm sorry for saying such things. And we can see Bakugo is holding Deku, and this is like literally a very lovely panel. So yeah, this seems like the ultimate line for Bakugo saying that yeah, like Midoriya, like just cut this plan. Let's get together inside UA again. Let's be friends again for the first time after after our childhood. Now continuing with the panel, Momo says that we have cleared the first hurdle for now. It will only get more difficult from now on. Ochaka says yeah, and we can see Deku's is like unconscious, and as he opens his eyes he says, look, he opened his eyes and he has woken up. 13, he has woken up, thank you. And like everyone, like we can see that Space Gate, what was his name, Space something, like 13, the person inside like this hero, like I just don't remember the name, says as of right now most civilians are in various evacuation centers. The one remaining outside, anti-hero, vigilante and extremist, and the one who are like escapees from the prison. The number of anti-hero and civilization entries each evacuation center due to exhaustion of increase. So it just means that because of the more like activities of villain prisoners, the people who were extremists are coming in evacuation center more, and as the evacuation center continues, it's get easier to avoid both the groups, and everyone is doing their best in order to improve the situation. The solo journey that you did really helped the hero and the police. So they are saying that even though like Deku was not with all of them, like the attempt Deku made to like kill, like to arrest many of these civilians is actually really helpful. And we can see that this evacuation center is huge. These guys are actually tiny in front of it. Like it's like literally like the walls of Attack on Titan big. Like it is mammoth. It is very huge. And we can see that Deku is like, yeah, I want to meet the expectation of class 1A, but, and he says going back is not an option for me. It's not, it's noisy outside. As we can see that there is a protest going on, as people says we don't want this boy inside UA, as One for All, the Shigaraki boy, is looking after him. And we can say that these guys have made a human wall and they don't want Deku inside that. The whole road is actually blocked by this human wall of people. People are protesting against Deku getting inside. The teacher Mike is actually like trying to make all of them calm down, but this is the principal explained to all of us us that our safety was guaranteed, and we don't understand getting this boy inside will only attract Shigaraki boy and the, one for all for one. And like we can see that like getting this boy inside is just a time bomb for all of our safety. And we can see that Deku is actually getting again depressed, and he's moving backwards. As people say, he does not belong inside UA. If you are going to make him hide somewhere else. And we can see Uraka finally making some move and hold his hand, and as Deku like looks back, he says that Uraka is there stopping him, and Uraka says, don't worry about Idaku, everyone. Bakugoku made this possible for all of us. We won't let it go from you anymore. We can't. Who will be the one who will save heroes? So yeah, like this is actually a very interesting question. When heroes are in the trouble, who is going to protect heroes? And it is obviously heroes are the one who are going to be the one saving heroes. And as she continues, when there is no one in trouble, like who will be the one saving the heroes? So for me, it was like a very good conclusion of this small arc of Deku versus UA Academy, very similar to how they like actually rescued Bakugo, but in like in worse situation where Bakugo is attacking them. But in this case, it's Deku. So I think that this was a very banger of a chapter. So yeah, and this is where my video will end. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe the channel, and yeah, see you all in the next one.